Hey racing fans, Sam here with some strategy tips for becoming a successful racer in Real Racing 2 for the iPhone, which is also available for the iPad and the iPod Touch. The first thing you need to know about Real Racing 2 is that it has several control options. You need to play around with it first to find the setting that works best for you, but I recommend Method B. First of all, the motion sensing on Real Racing 2 is really smooth and very responsive, but you will want to control both the braking and the accelerator. Other options make the car accelerate on its own, limiting the crucial ability to lower your acceleration during races. Choosing the correct car in Real Racing 2 is important, but thankfully each race has requirements on which car can compete. Find the car that best meets the requirements, then upgrade its engine and handling and acceleration as much as you can without passing the requirements. You will need as much edge as you can get to compete with other racers. Real Racing 2 has over 75 races, but they take place only over 15 courses. As you progress through the game, these 15 courses will change with what car you drive. The faster the car, the more difficult you will find each of the curves and contours of each track. One key to learning each track is a very helpful visual flourish put on the road by the developers. Areas with tight turns are marked with literal tire marks on the ground, these black strips here, giving you a guide to where your car needs to travel. Try to stick to these burn marks by letting off the gas and tapping the brakes lightly. Just be careful about using your brakes. When possible, slow down before turns by letting off the gas. But if you must, tap the brakes. Don't press firmly, just tap. You can also ride over the edges of the track to let off some speed, but don't overdo it. You want to make your way through each turn by losing as little speed as possible. One way to accomplish this is by slowing down before you reach the turn. When driving the souped-up supercars you unlock later in the game, when approaching really tight turns, try slowing down to about 110 to 120 miles an hour before each turn. That way, when the turn does come, you can accelerate through the turn and follow the burn marks on the road. The reason you don't want to just slam on your brakes when you reach a turn is simple oversteering. Your tires will skid on the road, causing a lot of friction that will slow you down significantly, and on tight turns will cause you to skid off the road and into the grass. Real Racing 2 is a racing sim game, so driving on grass or mud, just like in real life, is going to damage your car and slow you down to a crawl. Even driving on the stripped edges of the track will slow you down 10 to 15%, so be mindful of that. While slamming into other cars isn't the wisest idea, I mean, this isn't Burnout after all, it's going to slow you down. Using enemy cars to your advantage can be helpful. When making tight turns in large groups, I'll often speed into the turn much faster than I normally would and use fellow racers as kind of buffer pads to bounce off of. This will slow the both of you down, but it will not affect you the way it would bouncing off the wall, which has a much more significant result, often causing you to spin out and completely stop. To truly master Real Racing 2, you will need to master these courses, which will be natural to you if you play through the game. One note about tournaments in this game. Tournaments will have qualifying races before each race. I can't recommend highly enough that you take these races. Sure, they may be boring because you just do one lap around the course all by yourself, and it may seem pretty lonely, but getting a good qualifying time will get you ideal position at the start of the race. That position alone will win the race for you in many cases, so it's well worth it. Before a more in-depth analysis of each course, check out what I've linked below this video to learn the tricks of each course in Real Racing 2. Thanks for watching and happy racing.